I never imagined betrayal could hit me. From both sides at once, my own blood and the woman I vowed to spend forever with. It happened on a night I should have been celebrating, laughing and feeling secure in the family I had built. Instead, I walked into the kind of nightmare you only see in movies. My brother, the one I grew up protecting, the one I trusted more than anyone else in the world. And my wife, the person I thought was my partner, my safe place. Together, behind my back. The truth didn't come out gently. It slammed into me like a wrecking ball, ripping apart not just my marriage but the very foundation of my family. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, the pain was blinding. But what they didn't know, as they laughed behind closed doors, was that I had already seen the messages. I had already connected the dots. And that night, instead of confronting them with anger, I decided to do something else, something they would never forget. Because this betrayal wasn't just going to break me, it was going to define my revenge. Hey everyone, welcome back to Revenge. Flame, the place where betrayal turns into powerful stories of justice, and where real-life pain becomes unforgettable lessons. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, because each week we bring you stories that will leave you stunned and thinking long after the video ends. Here, we don't sugarcoat betrayal. We dive into the raw emotions, the heartbreak, the anger, the shocking truths, and most importantly, the strength it takes to rise above it all. Whether it's toxic families, broken friendships, or marriages destroyed by lies, every story we tell reminds us that no betrayal stays hidden forever. Today's story is one you won't forget. Imagine trusting your brother with your life, only to discover he was secretly destroying it by sleeping with your wife. A double betrayal, the kind that rips apart both blood and vows. But what came after? That's where revenge changes everything. So grab a seat, because this is more than just a story. It's a storm you won't see coming. I come from a family where loyalty was always preached, but rarely practiced. My parents raised us with the idea that blood comes first, that siblings should protect one another no matter what. And for most of my life, I believed that. I believed in my brother, the one who used to follow me around as a kid, the one I defended from bullies at school, the one I trusted with my deepest secrets. My wife came into my life years later. She was my safe place, my best friend, the person I thought I could build a forever with. We had our ups and downs, like every couple, but I never doubted her love. She was always smiling, always telling me I worked too hard, always promising me that we were in this together. On the surface, everything looked perfect. Family dinners with laughter, holidays filled with tradition, and a marriage that people envied. But what I didn't know was that beneath that surface, cracks had already begun to form. My brother had always been charming, too charming sometimes. He loved attention, and women always seemed drawn to him. I ignored it, thinking it was harmless. But slowly, without me realizing, lines were being crossed. And the two people I trusted most in this world were building a secret that would shatter mine. What started as innocent smiles and harmless conversations grew into something darker. And by the time I realized it, the betrayal was already complete. The first signs didn't scream betrayal. They whispered. Subtle, easy-to-dismiss moments that I brushed aside because I trusted them both. My wife started smiling at her phone a little too often. When I'd ask who it was, she'd casually say just a friend from work. I believed her, why wouldn't I? My brother, meanwhile, was spending more and more time around our house. At first, I thought it was because he enjoyed being close to family. He'd show up unannounced, crack a few jokes, grab a drink from the fridge like he lived there. I even felt grateful that he and my wife got along. I told myself, better they're friends than enemies. But then came the late-night texts. I'd roll over in bed to see her phone light up. She'd tilt the screen away, saying it was nothing important. My gut twisted, but my heart refused to believe she'd betray me. At family gatherings, I noticed glances, quick, stolen looks between them. Too fast for anyone else to catch, but not too fast for me. When I confronted my brother jokingly about always being around, he laughed it off and said, "Relax, man. I just like your cooking." Everyone laughed. I forced myself to laugh too, but inside doubts grew. The breaking point came one night when I borrowed her phone to call a friend after mine died. The hesitation in her eyes when she handed it to me nearly gave it away. I didn't push then, but later when she fell asleep I remembered. And that's when the puzzle pieces started to align. The lies, the excuses, the whispers. My world was tilting, and I could feel the truth clawing at the edges. I just wasn't ready to face it yet. At first, I clung to the hope that I was just imagining things. That the looks, the late-night texts, the hesitation, all of it was in my head. But deep down, I knew. And when the truth finally surfaced, it hit me like a blade straight to the chest. One evening, I came home earlier than usual. The house was too quiet. No TV, no music, just silence. I walked into the living room. And there they were, my brother and my wife, sitting far too close, whispering like guilty children. When they saw me, their faces drained of color. My wife stammered some excuse. My brother tried to joke it off. But their eyes told me everything. Later that night, when she was in the shower, I checked her phone. Dozens of messages, not just flirting confessions, plans, words that should have been meant for me, but were sent to him. My brother. The anger that boiled inside me was unlike anything I'd ever felt. My chest burned, my hands shook, my vision blurred with tears. It wasn't just betrayal from a spouse. It was betrayal from blood. The two people I should have been able to trust most had ripped my world apart and sat there as if it meant nothing. I wasn't just hurt, I was humiliated, and I knew I couldn't let this end quietly. Revenge isn't something you plan overnight. It festers, it grows, and when the time is right, it hits harder than anyone expects. I wasn't going to scream or fight them. No, I wanted something that would shatter their perfect little secret and leave them both exposed for exactly what they were. I started small. I acted normal around my wife, as though I hadn't seen the messages. I laughed with my brother when he visited, even offered him drinks like nothing had changed. Meanwhile, I quietly collected evidence screenshots of their texts, voice messages they thought were deleted, even hotel receipts I pulled from her emails. Piece by piece, I built a wall of proof so solid, not even their lies could climb it. Then came the family gathering. It was my parents' anniversary, the one event where every single relative was present, including uncles, cousins, and even grandparents. I waited until everyone had eaten, the room buzzing with laughter and stories, and then I stood up. My voice didn't shake, though inside I was boiling. I have a toast, I said, raising my glass. To family, the people we should trust above all else. But what happens when that trust is broken? Confused faces turned toward me. That's when I pulled out the folder of evidence. One by one, I handed photos, messages, and recordings to family members around the table. Gasps filled the air as the truth unfolded in front of them. My brother's face turned pale. My wife's hands trembled as she tried to grab the papers back. But it was too late. The damage was done. You didn't just betray me, I said, my voice low but steady. You betrayed every single person who believed in you. And tonight, everyone gets to see exactly who you are. The silence that followed was deafening. My wife broke into tears, begging me to stop. My brother tried to shout that it was all fake, but no one believed him. The evidence was undeniable. And in that moment, I didn't feel broken anymore. I felt powerful. I had taken the pain they gave me and turned it into a weapon one they never saw coming. The moment the evidence spread across that table, the dynamic of my entire family shifted. My wife sat frozen, mascara streaking down her cheeks, whispering apologies no one wanted to hear. My brother tried to raise his voice, claiming it was all manipulated. But the proof was undeniable. Every screenshot, every receipt, every voice message spoke louder than his lies. My parents were the first to react. My mother broke down in tears, unable to comprehend how her own son could do this. My father's face hardened with disappointment, not toward me, but toward the betrayal he saw staring back at him. The rest of the family sat in stunned silence, some shaking their heads, others whispering under their breath. The shame on my brother's face was unlike anything I'd ever seen. Finally, he couldn't handle it anymore. He stormed out of the room, slamming the door so hard the walls rattled. My wife followed, pleading for me to listen. But I stayed seated, calm for the first time in weeks. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just let the silence speak for itself. After that night, nothing was the same. My marriage dissolved within weeks, the divorce papers signed with no hesitation. My brother? He became an outcast, no longer welcome at family events. His reputation ruined beyond repair. The family that once praised him now barely mentioned his name. For the first time in a long while, I felt something close to peace. I hadn't just exposed their betrayal, I had reclaimed my dignity. And in that victory, I finally found closure. Looking back, I sometimes ask myself if I went too far. Exposing them in front of the entire family wasn't just revenge, it was total annihilation of their image, their lies, and their comfort zone. But then I remember the nights I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering how the two people I loved most could destroy me without a second thought. That kind of betrayal doesn't just hurt, it reshapes you. Revenge, in my case, wasn't about hurting them back. It was about taking back my voice, my dignity, and my self-worth. They had stolen those from me when they thought they could carry on their affair behind my back. By revealing the truth, I made it clear I may have been blindsided, but I wasn't weak. I refused to live as a victim. The lesson I carry now is simple but powerful: loyalty and love are meaningless without respect. Blood doesn't excuse betrayal, and marriage vows mean nothing without honesty. Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones who cut the deepest. But that doesn't mean we have to bleed quietly. If you've ever been betrayed, you know the temptation to crumble, to let it break you. But I learned that sometimes standing tall, even when your knees shake, is the strongest revenge of all. Not screaming, not fighting, but showing the world the truth and walking away with your head held high. Because at the end of the day, revenge isn't always about destruction. Sometimes it's about liberation. So that's my story, a brother who betrayed me, a wife who chose lies over love, and the revenge that turned their world upside down. But here's the real question. If you were in my shoes, would you have done the same? Or would you have handled it differently? I want to hear your thoughts. Drop your opinions in the comments. Below, do you think exposing them publicly was justified, or was it too harsh? Your perspective matters because betrayal is something almost everyone faces at some point, and how we deal with it can change everything. If this story hit you hard, make sure to give it a like so more people can see it. Share it with someone who might need a reminder that they are not powerless in the face of betrayal. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. We post stories like this all the time. Stories that prove no matter how dark betrayal feels, there's always a way to reclaim your strength. Until next time, remember this. You deserve respect, honesty, and loyalty. Never let anyone convince you otherwise.